Rain hammered the quiet streets, drumming a frantic rhythm on the rooftops. Aanya ran barefoot, her silk dress sticking to her skin, soaked and heavy. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest, echoing the panic that had taken over her entire being. She had escaped through the back gate of her family mansion, leaving behind a life that was gilded, but suffocating. Her wedding was arranged, a union she had never wanted, promised to a man she had met only twice. A stranger with wealth, influence, and no regard for her feelings. Tonight she had chosen freedom over duty, even if it meant stepping into the unknown. Shadows moved in the distance, the sound of hurried footsteps growing louder. Her parents' guards were searching for her, their flashlights slicing through the rain like knives. Fear pushed her legs forward, but exhaustion threatened to pull her down. She stumbled, almost falling onto the slick cobblestones, her hands scraping against the wet wall. A sudden warmth grabbed her arm, steadying her. Looking up, she saw a young man in a grease-stained shirt, standing under the dim yellow light of a small workshop. His face was tense with concern. "You're hurt? What happened?" he asked, his voice calm, but filled with worry. "I need help. Please, just hide me," she whispered, her voice trembling. He hesitated only for a moment, studying her soaked hair, pale face, and terrified eyes. He didn't know her identity, her wealth, or the danger she had fled. All he knew was the fear in front of him, raw and urgent. "Come inside. You'll be safe here," he said finally, pulling open the workshop door.
Inside, the smell of oil and metal was strong, but it felt safe. The mechanic Riyan, as he would later introduce himself, offered her a towel and a small cup of steaming tea. He said nothing about her clothes, her looks, or her strange behavior. His silence was comforting, a small island of normalcy in the storm of her life. Outside, the rain continued to pour, hiding them from the world and giving Aanya a fleeting sense of hope.
For the first time since fleeing her mansion, she felt a fragile glimmer of safety. Here, in a simple workshop, helped by a man who didn't know her name or her fortune, she could breathe. And for now, that was enough. The workshop was small, cramped, and smelled strongly of oil and metal. But to Aanya, it felt like a sanctuary. The rain still fell outside, hammering against the tin roof. But inside, the faint warmth from a small heater wrapped around her like a comforting blanket. Riyan moved around the room with practiced ease, wiping his hands on a rag, checking a motorcycle engine, and occasionally glancing at her with quiet concern. He didn't ask who she was or why she was here. He only knew that she needed help, and that was enough. "You should eat something," he said, setting down a small plate of bread, boiled eggs, and a few slices of tomato. His voice was soft, careful, as if he didn't want to startle her.
Aanya shook her head. I can't. I'm not hungry."
Riyan shrugged and sat on a stool nearby, his eyes studying her without judgment. "You will be. You've been running for hours. You need strength." She watched him work, fascinated by the simple, honest rhythm of his movements. There were no guards here, no expensive furniture, no prying eyes, just a man who believed in helping someone in need. Her life had always been ruled by wealth, appearances, and strict rules. But here, none of that mattered. A sudden noise outside made her flinch, a distant shout, muffled by the rain. Riyan immediately turned off the lights and gestured for her to crouch behind a stack of tires. Her heart raced. The steps grew louder, deliberate. Someone was searching, moving closer to the workshop. "They're looking for you," Riyan whispered. "No one comes in here at night. You're safe. For now. Stay down until it's quiet." Aanya held her breath as the footsteps passed, fading into the distance. Her chest heaved with relief. But the fear lingered. Riyan stayed close, his presence steadying her, a protective force she had never known. Once it was safe, he returned to the heater, handing her a cup of tea. "You don't have to tell me everything. I just want to help."
Aanya stared into the steaming cup, the warmth in her hands contrasting sharply with the cold fear that had driven her to flee. "It's complicated," she said softly. "If they find me, my life will change forever."
Riyan nodded without pressing further. Then we keep you hidden. We figure it out together. For the first time in hours, she felt a small flicker of hope. Here, in this tiny workshop, with a man she barely knew, she felt safe. She didn't know the dangers ahead, or how her father's men would find her, or even how far she could run. But for now, the fear that had consumed her was held at bay by the kindness of a stranger, and for now, that was enough. Morning light filtered weakly through the dusty windows of the workshop, painting the small room in soft, pale gold. Aanya barely slept. Every creak of the floor, every whisper of wind against the tin roof, made her flinch. She sat near the heater, watching Riyan work on an old motorcycle, his hands moving skillfully over the engine. There was a calmness to him that made her pulse slow for the first time since her escape. He hummed quietly, unaware of how much his ordinary presence meant to her extraordinary life. "You should eat something," Riyan said, breaking the silence, his voice gentle. He handed her a plate of simple breakfast: bread, eggs and fruit. She hesitated, but hunger finally overpowered fear. She took a small bite, feeling strength returning to her limbs. Why are you helping me?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Riyan paused, looking at her with steady brown eyes. "Because you needed it. That's enough." She stared at him, astonished. No one had ever helped her without expecting something in return, not in her wealthy world of privilege, where kindness always had a price. Here, in this small, oil-scented workshop, she felt something she hadn't in years: trust. A sudden sound outside made her freeze. A car rolled slowly down the street, its engine quiet but unmistakable. She recognized it immediately. Her father's luxury sedan. Her pulse surged. Riyan's eyes followed hers. "They're searching the area," he said softly, crouching next to her. "We can stay here for long." Anya's hands trembled. "If they find me, they'll drag me back. My life, it will be over." Riyan put a steady hand on hers. "Then we figure out a way to get you out. Don't worry, I won't let them touch you." She looked at him, fear and gratitude mingling in her eyes. He had no idea she was the daughter of a millionaire, that her face and name could open doors anywhere. To him, she was just a girl in danger, a person who needed protection. That made his kindness even more real, more powerful. The morning stretched slowly, punctuated by moments of tense silence and careful planning. Riyan offered her clothing he found in his workshop, and she changed into them, hoping to blend into the streets if she had to run. She could hear distant voices, shouts, the sound of tires on wet pavement. Every noise reminded her that freedom was fragile, that danger lurked just beyond the walls of this small sanctuary. Yet, as she watched him work quietly, helping her without question, she felt a spark of hope grow. Maybe, just maybe, she could escape this life of control, find safety, and perhaps even trust someone again. And for the first time in her life, she felt that hope was worth clinging to. By evening, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets slick and shiny under the dim glow of streetlights. Anya's nerves were stretched thin. Every shadow seemed like a threat. Every distant sound made her flinch. Riyan had been quietly planning their next move all day, moving tools, checking the back exits, and preparing a small bag for her. "They're searching every shop and alley," he whispered, peering out through a crack in the shutters. "We can't stay here much longer. We need to get you out of town." Anya's hands trembled. "If they catch me, my life, it's over. My family will make me marry him no matter what." Riyan's jaw tightened. "Then I'll make sure they don't. I won't let them take you." They slipped through the workshop's back alley, moving in the shadows. The streets were quiet, but tension clung to the air. Anya's heart raced with every step, her fear mingling with a strange thrill. She had never felt so alive, so free, yet so vulnerable. Just as they reached the main road, a black luxury car rolled slowly toward them. Aanya froze. Her father's guards spilled out, surrounding them. She felt panic clawing at her chest. "There she is. Grab her," one shouted. Riyan stepped in front of her, arms wide. She's not going with you. His voice was firm. Unyielding, the guards pushed against him, but he refused to move, his stance protective. Her father emerged from the car, his eyes blazing with authority. What is he doing? Who is this boy? Anya took a deep breath, stepping forward. He protected me when you tried to control me. I am not going back to that life. Her voice rang clear, strong despite her fear. Her father studied Riyan, bruised, wet from the rain, but standing defiantly. Then his gaze fell on Anya. For the first time, something softened in his expression. He gestured for the guards to step back. If this is your choice, I will not force you, he said, his voice heavy but calm. Anya turned to Riyan, tears glistening in her eyes. You saved me. Riyan shook his head, trying to hide his relief. You saved yourself. I was just there to help. She laughed softly through her tears, feeling the tension drain from her body for the first time in days. Freedom, real freedom, had never felt so powerful, and beside her, the man who had offered her safety without question, the mechanic she barely knew, but already trusted with her life, smiled faintly, knowing that together, they had defied everything that tried to control her. In that moment, Anya realized she had more than freedom. She had hope, courage, and someone who had chosen her, not her fortune. The rain-soaked streets no longer felt threatening. They felt like a beginning.